Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this chilly Saturday morning. The chill continues. And again, Aqueduct is on the sidelines because of that chill. Some other tracks, I'll go over the tracks. I should have a list here, but I don't. But when I come back next time, I will update on what is off today. Definitely Aqueduct. Oaklawn was supposed to start this weekend. They're going to start next weekend because the cold is hitting a large swath of the country. But there is still some very nice racing today. Down at Gulfstream, we have a big stakes day highlighted by the Holy Bulls. Some nice stakes over at Tampa as well. We'll have some fairgrounds in the mix. So it'll be a fun afternoon of racing, and we'll talk about some of that this morning as well. We're going to kick things off with our continued conversation with Brad Cox. We talked to Brad on Thursday, taped that, and we'll plug the remainder of that in. We had some of it yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about 3-year-olds. And if you haven't tuned last week, Jeremy Plonk kind of set things up. We went
in the end. Blazing Brat went a good one there. Third ended up very close between Evolution and My Miss Mo, who finally got going.
That ran the record of Sneaky Good to 2 for 2. This was right off the maiden breaker, so obviously you had some confidence. How were you happy with the 2-year-old season, obviously, but how has she now matured into the 3-year-old season?
I really like her. She's a good filly. I think I'm not certain how far she wants to go. She has have a tonalist on the bottom side of a tonalist mare, but she does stay on well in her workouts. This is once again going from 3/4 to 7/8, so I think this makes a lot of sense. And I think she's got to get she has to get a good trip, and she could get a set up and see how it goes. I thought her last race at Tampa was really impressive.
Going out for Ellen J. Foxwoods and Company. For the Albaugh family, you have On Time Girl. We're going to take a look at her winning the Fern Creek back on November 29th.
At the top of the stretch with On Time Girl, breathing down her neck. The two of them are head and head. Paige Turner pops outside third. Paige Turner's only 2 behind as they head for the 8th pole, where On Time Girl's digging in. Put away Solemn Vow. Paige Turner, a clear second. A fine Chardonnay on track. Too late to catch On Time Girl, who streaks home to win it by 3.
That wound up her 2-year-old season, 3 wins and a second and 4 starts. Talented there. What are you expecting for On Time Girl in the 3-year-old debut?
She's another filly that, not this time out of an Uncle Mo mare. Mare was very good. I'm not sure how far she wants to go, but she does stay on well in her workouts, and she's very consistent. Obviously, she showed that. She tough defeat there at Keeneland. She was kind of got pressured the whole way up the backside and still fought on very, very well to be second, or to stay on to be second. But, she's a good filly, and once again, stretching her out to 7/8. I think both of them can handle it. I really do.
How do you decide? Because as a handicapper, I'm always interested when those kind of decisions are made. You have a 3-year-old filly or a 3-year-old male, particularly, that are really sprinting well. But boy, the siren call of the Derby and the Oaks are out there. How do you make the decisions that I think we really have a sprinter?
Well, if you have the opportunity to gradually stretch them out, that's obviously what you do. There's still lots of, really nice races out there, with the Beaumont, the 8 Bells. There's plenty of races out there. Used to, fillies like this, you try to point for the Acorn with them because it was a 1-turn mile at Belmont. They've obviously extended that to a mile and Nathan Saratoga, but I don't know if they'll change their back to a mile. But these are the type of fillies that I kind of feel like that would be their, path this spring, something like that, or try to get to the test or something. But I feel like both of them are doing very well, so we'll see how they fit.
All right, we'll watch for those on Saturday, and one more on Saturday as well. In the Swedish Chant, 1/16 on the turf, you have Aggressive Line. I will ask, you probably don't. The name, you have any idea? Aggressive Line?
No, I don't know. That'd be a good question for Joey Anzalone. I'm not certain where he came up with that.
I'd be curious. But coming in, we're going to take a look at the allowance event November 19th, which again wound up the 2-year-old season, which was very good. You have 2 nice wins, the main breaker in this race we're looking at, bookending a try in the Jessamine. Give us the thoughts on her 2-year-old season and Aggressive Line coming into Saturday.
Yeah, she was very impressive there at Kentucky Downs. Thought around at Keeneland, she raced very green. A little bit, I think, confused by the 2 turns or return race after that at Churchill. I thought was very impressive. I'm pretty much pointing for this since been training here at Payson as well. And, this is a big opportunity for her to hopefully pick up some black type.
And again, those are coming up on Saturday. Wanted to get a few more thoughts. First, we'll go back to last Saturday. This was a nice performance. We're going to take a look at the Pegasus Cup Filly and Mayor Turf, and it is going to be Destino d'Oro getting it done.
The pace quickens and they start to stack up. Looking for room behind the speed. Breath Away, the leader in Our Time. Off cover comes moving on up from between horses and Our Time. Sliding through at the rail, Proctor Street tried to straighten up Creval Doro. Late run down the center, Destino d'Oro. Whiskey Decision has no place to go. Edgard Zayas and moving on up in front, but here comes Destino d'Oro. Charging hard on the outside. Junior Alvarado and Destino d'Oro win the Filly and Mare Turf. Close then for Seth.
First time against Older. And from what I read after the race, it sounds like plan B worked out, because it sounded like you were thinking maybe going to the Endeavor this Saturday, but no, why not try for $500,000? You had to be thrilled with this performance.
Yeah, no, she really stepped up. She obviously likes Gulfstream. I think she likes a firm turf course. She showed that at Ellis Park last summer, and obviously, I think the turf's been somewhat firm here at Gulfstream. She gets over it well. So, now very impressed with her, and hopefully we can, there's a grade 1 out there with her name on it. We may look at the Jenny Wiley and maybe try a prep race between now and then.
Yeah, that's. I was going to bring that up. You had in the article you were shooting for Jenny Wiley, but you will have something in between. What was the deciding factor to go last Saturday?
Steve Landers, the owner, he was coming to town, but they had gotten some weather in Hot Springs, and he was scared. If he got out, he wouldn't be able to get back in. I don't think the getting out part was the problem; it was the getting back. So he stayed at home. He said he was coming, so I said, "Well, we'll just run." And then he obviously didn't come, and. Look, we had her down there. We had to ship in Wednesday. She trained well. She had a couple good days there training. I thought, let's just give it a shot, see what happens. And it worked out really well.
It worked out very well. Like I say, for $500,000, that plan B sometimes does work out. And I just want to hit on a couple more horses and get some plans. Going back to the Cigar Mile last year, Bishop's Bay. I see Bishop's Bay is getting some works in. Talk a little bit about what the plans are for Bishop's Bay going forward.
Yeah, he's pointing for the Saudi Cup. He received an invite a few weeks ago, so we're going to take that. And 20 million reasons to give it a shot. It's a mile and an eighth. It's one turn. We do like that it's one turn. He's had a lot of success around one turn going a mile, and hopefully he can find another eighth of a mile. And he's going to need to get a good setup. It's going to be a very, very tough race. Great horses from all over the world, but look, he's earned the right, and we'll give him an opportunity.
Yeah, like I say, look good in the cigar, certainly. And just one more, speaking of over in the Mideast, the Dubai World Cup winner from last year, Hit Show.
And it is Mixto who goes up to challenge Walk of Stars. Forever Young has a mighty task ahead of him. Wilson Tesoro goes with him in third and fourth. Hit Show running on from the back, but it's Mixto who hits the lead here with 150 metres left to go. Mixto for Doug O'Neill and Frankie Dettori. Hit Show out when it's all too late. Look at Hit Show right over the top. Hit Show for Florence Giroux and Brad Cox in the Dubai World Cup.
Give us a little update on Hit Show.
I'm pointing for the mine shaft with him at the fairgrounds, the middle of February 14th, I believe. And that'll be his prep. We're using that as his prep for the Dubai World Cup. It's a mile and 16th. It's a little short, but he's had success down there. He won the Louisiana there last year. And then he went to California for the Santa Anita Handicap. We're going to change it up a little bit this year. We're going to do the race there in March and use that as a 6-week prep for the Dubai World Cup.
Oh, okay. So back at it to try to defend. And speaking of hit, I had one more hit parade looking for next week again with things delayed over at Oaklawn. Hit parade. I pulled up the Untappable. She's a funny horse. Seems like maybe a work in progress. You debuted at Horseshoe on the turf, and I'm not sure you were thinking turf or maybe you were trying to get a mile in early on. Then you broke the maiden for a tag. Then you win on the dirt and allowance company in Churchill, and then you get the Untappable victory. Talk a little bit about the progression of Hit Parade.
Yeah, like you said, it was probably more a little bit about getting the distance as opposed to the surface there last summer at Indiana, or last fall. But she's come along really nice. I mean, she actually been working very well at the fairgrounds. We're running her in the Martha Washington next Friday. And, we love what we've seen from her. When she broke her maiden for 50, she overcame a good bit. I thought it was a very impressive win. If you go back and watch her replay, she kind of overcome a soft pace, steadied into the first turn and won, going away. And then her win there in the starter allowance cut her back. I think it was a 1-turn mile. Thought it was another impressive race. And then I was looking to just run her in a first level allowance at the fairgrounds, but it didn't go, and found,
Plan B.
Yeah, exactly. Put in the stake, and sometimes, stakes for 2-year-old fillies and 3-year-old colts don't always have to be super tough. I thought it was a really good run from her, and she seems to be getting better, which pedigree suggests she would. But yeah, I really like the way she's been working leading up to this Martha Washington. So hopefully she gets a good trip and she'll be a factor.
And you get the win in the untappable. You have to be looking back at that claiming race and go, phew.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll be looking forward to those going ahead as well. And just before I let you go, I was curious. You have, as I say, horses all around the country, including in New York. Oh, I will ask you, you guys, your barn seems to be kind of active in the claiming box in New York as well.
Yeah, we do a little bit more.
Yeah.
We do some claiming in New York. It works out well. It kind of keeps the barn, the numbers up, and can rotate horses and stuff. So it works out really well. New York's been good to us for several years. It's a great place to get horses made and broken. Look, I mean, like My World. I mean, he's won 2 stakes up there. It's going to lead him to Saudi Arabia. So now New York's been good to us, and we play the claiming game there a little bit.
And what I was leading into is any thoughts on next time? New York at this time next year with the synthetic, is that going to affect you at all? Will you have more up that, because you're in the wintertime, you're on the synthetic and turfway too?
That's right. Yeah, it's I don't know overall. I mean, we're gonna continue to race there. Yes, to answer your question. I'm not sure if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Time will tell with that. But yeah, no, we're going to be a part of it and see how it goes, and we'll see if it works out.
Brad, appreciate the visit as always. I'm sure, you're always busy, so we appreciate you taking the time. Wish you good luck this coming weekend, Saturday afternoon and beyond. We'll talk again.
Thanks, Seth. Talk to you soon.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer: wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Seth Merrow in the studio. And again, I said chilly northeast when I kicked off the show, when I got in the car. Yesterday, when I got in the car for the drive-in, I had walked away and put my mic down. Yesterday, when I drove in, it was -1 on the dashboard. And this morning, it was a balmy 10 degrees. So it's very cold, and that is playing into these cancellations because, again, that storm last week with snow and ice that made some cancellations, but it's continued cold, so there's nothing really melting. But the cold just makes it kind of impossible to rate, when you're down in the single digits and you're on horseback at 30 or 40 miles an hour, it doesn't work well. So, again, there are some cancellations today and throughout the weekend. But today, Oaklawn, again, was supposed to kick back in this weekend after having their schedule take a few weeks off in January. It was supposed to be back starting yesterday, but they're not racing this weekend. They'll kick things off next weekend at Oaklawn. Turfway on the sidelines today, Meadowlands as well. Aqueduct, they're off all weekend. They will add a Wednesday card at Aqueduct. Laurel takes the weekend off. They had some nice stakes today at Laurel. They'll be coming back on Wednesday, though, next week. They'll race 5 days next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, down at Laurel. Charlestown also on the sideline. So again, today, no Oaklawn, no Turfway, no Meadowlands, Aqueduct, Laurel, or Charlestown. But as noted earlier, we'll have the 2 Florida tracks. Both have nice stakes action, Gulfstream and Tampa. Fairgrounds in the mix as well, a little bit later on, Santa Anita. And, of course, we'll plug in some other, the kind of lower or B-level tracks as the day goes along, and they're available as well. So there'll be plenty of action here this afternoon, highlighted again by stakes action at the 2 tracks down in Florida. And again, in a few minutes, we will be joined by Ron Nicoletti, and we'll take a look at some of that stakes action at Gulfstream. But in the meantime, did want to bring up a couple of weeks. It looks like it's shaping up to be a nice day of action in Saudi Arabia. You heard Brad Cox mention Bishop's Bay headed to the Saudi Cup. He also mentioned My World headed to the Saudi Derby. But there's, you put up, as Brad said when he talked about Bishop's Way, there's 20 million reasons to head over. They toss up a huge purse there, and it will attract some American runners. And again, February 14th in Saudi Arabia, Saudi Cup. Nisos scheduled, Nevada Beach from Baffert's Barn. Asmussen has Magnitude potentially headed. Rattle and Roll for Kenny McPeak, Banishing, and Bishop's Bay. So it looks like an interesting lineup there, not to mention Forever Young, looking to be the first horse to repeat in the Saudi Cup after the nice win last year. So the return of Forever Young after his most recent victory in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and then getting named Older Horse of the Year at the Eclipse Awards as well. So the Saudi Cup in a couple of weeks shaping up to be very nice. And again, the aforementioned Saudi Derby. Also, My World for Brad, Obliteration. Won the Sanford and had a nice win a couple of weeks ago as well for Steve Asmussen. That one, I think, is going to be fun as well. But I'm looking at My World coming out of the 2 stakes victories in New York most recently. Speaking of New York, as I noted, they haven't been racing since last Sunday. With the actual storm and the snow, they were off then. So they took that Sunday card, they moved it to Wednesday. But then, again, with the cold temperatures and whatnot, they haven't raced at all this week. So they've missed a number of days. They will be back on Wednesday. And I think things are supposed to warm up, into the 20s. But that's certainly racing weather. So they'll be back on Wednesday. But then they've also applied to the New York State Gaming Commission for additional days to make up for what they missed. February 11th, Thursday the 19th, Thursday the 26th, and Thursday, March 5th. So we may have some extended weeks, 4 days rather than 3 days in New York as we move through February and into March to make up for, again, essentially over a week of missed racing down there in the New York area. Speaking of NYRA, also, they came up with a press release that was sent out. David O'Rourke had mentioned this in some interviews, and the symposium out in Arizona, he had mentioned that may have been where he originally talked about it. NYRA planning to make some changes to address the CAW situation, which was a big part of the conversation amongst horse players last year with late odds changes or changes so late they weren't reflected until horses were, coming around the turn or whatever. And they're going to make some changes. NYRA will require CAW activity to cease at 1 minute to post in all wagering pools not previously subjected to high-speed wagering transactions. And when David O'Rourke came up with this, he also said it was essentially a work in progress. Let's put it that way. They would watch this for a while and maybe tweak a little bit. This press release, as I say, came out, and of course, there's the typical reaction on social media. People like, "Oh, that's not good enough." And I would say let's kind of wait and see. A lot of people said a minute to post. Does that make a difference? Andy Serling made the great point. A minute to post on the clock is probably more like 3 minutes by the time they all get loaded in the gate and whatnot. So we'll see how it works out. But I do appreciate the fact, and I think everybody should, that NYRA is at least being proactive about this and trying to address it in a way that is a win-win for everybody, potentially. Hopefully. We'll see how it works out, though. And as they say, when the subject was first brought up, David O'Rourke kind of hinted that I don't think hinted, I think he said right out that we will look at the results, and if we have to tweak or whatnot, that's possible too. But that will all go into effect, I think, February 5th. So that's coming up really within the next week or so that those changes will be made down in New York. Again, in an area that has become a subject of much consternation amongst a number of horse players, and hopefully this can help alleviate that. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, it'll be Ron Nicoletti from Gulfstream Park. We'll get some thoughts on some of the stakes action this afternoon down in South Florida, so stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park with great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. Again, a Saturday where, once again, has been the case over the past, week and a half. Many eyes will be on Florida Gulfstream Park with a great stakes day. And who better to talk to than our friend Ron Nicoletti? You see him pregame show, paddock commentary and whatnot. Ron, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you, buddy?
Very good. Happy to talk to you. And I typically say, we love watching and living vicariously up here. I'd got in the car yesterday, and the thermometer on the dashboard said -1. Today it was a balmy 10 degrees. And as I said, we like to live vicariously, but it seems like maybe a little chilly for Florida this time of year.
Yeah, tomorrow morning's supposed to be 32 or something like that. The first time in like 15 years, and it's going to go up to I think the high is going to be 51. So we're actually, for the first time I can remember, moving up to the studio. We might do it. I still want to be downstairs, but and the closer to the horses. But we might go up and do at least the morning show there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. You gotta bring in your cats, your dogs, your plants. I mean, you do all those tricks. So and by Monday it'll be over. So
well, that's what we like to hear, because we're headed down for Fountain of Youth in about 4 weeks. So warm it up by the time we get down there. I have a couple of days afterwards where I want to be sitting on the beach.
It could be 90 by the time you get. Like 2 weeks ago we had 85 weather. Last week we had 85 weather.
Yeah, that's more like it. That's what I like to hear. But a nice card today at Gulfstream. Nice stakes action. Last week was a great day too. And again, congratulations to you and everybody with some tracks on the sidelines. With the weather situation in much of the country, you guys had a great day down there for Pegasus Day.
Yeah, well, over $48 million. And, it was a good, more importantly, it was a good card. You can, I think maybe the first or second time this year that anybody you saw anybody from the racing office, you tipped your hat to them. They put a good card together. And today's card is not bad either, so we'll see how it plays out. Sending it in the Rainbow Six again. We had somebody else hit it last week. Finally, we had the mandatory pair on Saturday, which I like. You know what I mean? And it was tough to do, but some people got paid very handsomely. So, we'll see how it is today. No mandatory payouts today, but we got guarantees in the early pick 5, middle pick 5, late pick 5. So we'll see. We usually go over this, especially with all the tracks up north closed.
Yeah, I looked. There was a graphic on your website that with estimated pools, and they're all very juicy. And I think that plays into you will have plenty of eyeballs on the product this afternoon.
Right.
All right, let's jump in and take a look at some of the action. Again, there are 5 nice stakes. Stakes action kicks off in the 5th race with the Kitten's Joy for the 3-year-olds going 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf. I say it all the time. Love the 3-year-olds on the turf. Nice subdivision. Starts early in the year with races like this and continues. And it proved productive. The Tropical Park Oaks and the Tropical Park Derby both had comeback winners last week. The Pegasus and their 4-year-old debuts. That was fun to watch. But I pulled up a replay of the Dania Beach going back to New Year's Day. I have Alpe Land, and I used that one on top, the Mark Cassie trainee. Comes in with a 3-race win streak. Going to be a short price with Johnny Velasquez on board, but I thought 1,000 Sticks for Brian Lynch can be a player. Naughty Next is interesting. Turf Star. How did you see the Kitten's Joy?
Well, I love what happened. The most interesting thing comes back as a gelding. I don't understand that. He's won 3 in a row, and they have him listed as a first-time gelding, at least in the form first cut, which I find so intriguing. I can't imagine that's true. I may have been gelded last time or something like that. So we'll see how it is. I mean, last as you're showing the Dania Beach, that was on January 1st. So that's something we're going to have to check into there. You mentioned 1,006. I mean, who's better than Brian Lynch? He's been on fire since opening day. So I had to use him, underneath. I mean, they're pretty chalky in that way. But I also like Turf Star a little bit. The ways that Turf Star comes out of, as you know, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, a couple of really nice horses come out of that. So this horse got a touch of clamp, and Graham Motion, again, winning at what? I think like a 40%, 30% rate. So you got to leave him on your ticket somewhere.
Yeah, all 3 of those trainers are having great meets. Mark Cassie, Alpe Land, Brian Lynch, and Graham Motion. And Carlos David down there has just been nuts.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
he's been nuts.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Race number 8 on the program is the Swale. Again, as a lot of big race days leading into Derby Day do when there's a big 3-year-old race on kind of the Derby path. There typically is a nice little sprint stake as well. And at this time of year, who knows? Some of these may stretch out going on. Yeah. I pulled up a replay, the inaugural at Tampa Bay Downs early in December. We will take a look at Solitude Dude for Safi Joseph. Win number 2 and start number 2, they were both by daylight. Clearly going to take a lot of action today. With this performance being ridden by IRAD, going to be a short price. If folks are looking for an alternative, I thought the Pletcher, second-time starter class president, was interesting. Epic Summer for George Weaver. Fun race. How did you see the Swale?
Well, it's hard not to have Solitude Dude on top, picking all the chalk here with class president, it was really impressive in its race. I like the fact that horse drew up and was at a mile and then cut back to 7 furlongs tonight. Today I find interesting. Got to deal with the inside post. But the interesting horse, talking about a barn that's been going good, the number 5 horse, this Cassette, this one, Patrick Bean Cone, this horse cutting back to 7 furlongs. They brought him to Kentucky. He's way over his head. You look at his record here, he's never been beaten. That race, of course, on the sideline, sidelines now, Ted Naffy. So that's who he faced in the Breeders' Futurity. He is the sneaking in the race for me. I don't know what odds is he. Let me check his odds. I think maybe you go and you play around a little with this. He's third choice. I thought he was be a little lower, higher. So yeah, I think that's a horse you got to maybe take a look at. Doesn't stack up in numbers, but something might be able to grab your Triumph Super.
I had a couple of check marks next to that one as well. And one of the things I did, I circled the 4-1 morning line. Maybe that, or if it went up a little bit in a 6-horse field, it's hard to say. But this is the kind I always find interesting, in that the 2-year-old season was promising, and now it's had a little time off. These are the kind that can come back with some added maturity and kind of blossom a little bit in their first start back off a layoff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and you ever see how he runs? He's proven himself without LASIK. I mean, like everybody else in the race when during their 2-year-old season, and they're not going to get LASIK today. So, you know, that wasn't a pretty performance, but like I said, it was against Ted Nafi.
And again, Patrick Biancone is going well, as you noted, so that plays into it as well.
He had that mile and a half winner. And talk about guys going good. You got to check everything. David Egan is riding, the European rider. He has been on fire.
That's a good point too. I know you and Brian were doing a pre-race yesterday and kind of talking about Egan, and I appreciated that because he's a guy I wasn't that familiar with, but certainly gaining some respect for him down there this winter, no question about it. All right, let's move on to race number 10. That one is the Forward Gal. This one for 3-year-old fillies sprinting 7 furlongs. I had Brad Cox on earlier. I taped him a couple of days ago, and we talked about both On Time Girl and Sneaky Good. Have a replay here of the Fern Creek, which was a nice season-ending victory last year as a 2-year-old for On Time Girl. Off of that, and Irad sticking on board. She looks tough, but the other one, Sneaky Good, I think lives up to the name with the 2-for-2 record and the win at Tampa last time. So the 2 Brad Cox runners very tough. Todd Pletcher with Imperatrice on the outside, I think could be a player. Mythical, obviously, have to pay attention to that one coming out of the Sire Stakes down at Gulfstream. What did you see in the Forward Gal?
Well, I went with Mythical. I got to, look at this horse in person, and he just was so impressive. So I'm going back with Jorge Delgado, but you make great points with the other horses. So I put Mythical on top, One Time Girl in second. I thought maybe, the 2-horse for Safi Joseph Jr., Tessalote, the number 2. Look at his last races. He wins here impressively going 6.5. They send him up to Tampa. He wins the Gasparilla by open land. Maybe you get a little bit of a price with him. Junior Alvarado, how good he's been riding here. So, when you talk about the big ones in the race, like the 5, the 6, and the 4, I think you got to look at the 2 Tessalote. I think it's for the Tessalote. And I think you got to look at this horse and just maybe, it's Safi, you know what I'm saying? And Junior, and maybe these 2, they don't hook up together. I find that interesting that he reached out for Junior Alvarado.
Yeah, and that's another one that I did not use. I have some check marks next to, though. As you say, Junior hopping on board was intriguing to me, and the record certainly is very good, and it's Safi. And this is one where bettors these days pay, and I'm included, pay so much attention to the buyers. I think the numbers will attract folks in other directions. I think you might get some value on Tessalote, but being a Safi horse coming in with a 2-race win streak, 2 stakes, I agree. Maybe worth a little bit of a look at potentially a little bit of a price.
Then you can play musical jockeys too. You see that Edgar Zayas is perennial leading rider here in the summer, who rode this horse in 3 straight, including those 2 wins. He jumps off and goes to Mythical and Junior Alvarado. So maybe you look at that a little bit.
I will also note that Luis Saez, speaking of jockeys on the 1, he's been riding down there during the break at Oaklawn and continues to do so as they're still on break. And so nice to have Luis as part of the crew down there. All right, let's go to race number 11. Swedish Chant. This one for the 3-year-old fillies going 8.5 on the grass. I pulled up a replay of Sister Troyan winning the Ginger Brew back on January 3rd. She's going to be the number 6 horse in here. Goes out for the aforementioned high percentage lately. Brian Lynch, Mario Gutierrez slated to be on board, and he was on board for the victory we're looking at in the Ginger Brew. 4th win in 5 career starts. She's talented. I also thought Aggressive Lime. I talked about that one with Brad Cox. That one could be interesting in the 3-year-old debut. Storm's Wake, Brian Lynch, surprise ending, Brendan Walsh. Fun race, but I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts because we were talking before we went on the air, and you have your long shot playing here.
Yeah, and Storm's work. It's the other Brian Lynch who comes out of the Ginger Brew with its stablemate winning the race. But you just look at this horse. If you go back and look at the race, this horse was finishing very well. So going for a little bit of price, this is a mile and a 16. Now, jockey changed to Luis Saez. Nick Barres was having a tough time down here and everything. Going to Luis Saez today. He's an aggressive rider. Does he make up those couple of lengths, and beat her stablemate? And sort of get a little bit of a price in there. You know what I mean? You got to look around. This is one fantastic betting race. So all the horses you mentioned, yeah, but well, why not go with this horse? Luis Saez and Brian Lynch together are over 20% when he gets aboard. So, hey, why not make that difference? And it's a mile and a 16, and it's Brian Lynch, and he's 30% second off the bench.
And of course, with Sister,
put all those angles together.
And the other angle is with Sister Toriana 2-1 and Storm's Wake at 8-1 morning line. But I think it's going to work out similarly by post time. This one becomes, quote unquote, other Brian Lynch.
Right, yeah.
And that's
what I was thinking of in there.
Yeah, that's always a clever angle. Certainly up here at Saratoga, we learn it every summer with the other Chad Brown or the third Chad.
Right.
You after the race, you're like, how did that horse pay $22? Yeah,
exactly.
All right, let's go to the highlight of the day: the Holy Bull Grade 3 event. 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. Pulled up a replay here of the Brad Cox runner Cannoneer winning the maiden race back on November 29th. The pretty solid effort, has been off since. Had Brad on earlier, and he said, going to try the horse at 2 turns. That's going to be a question mark. Nearly is, I think, the horse to beat in here for Todd Pletcher off the last 2 victories. Bravaro for Safi, I think, could be a player. Fun little New York bred Bravaro. Incredible for Riley Mott, I also think, is a player. Field of 9 schedule, but fun group. What did you see in the Holy Bull?
Well, I went with Kennedy. I mean, this one is a half to Gervin, when the half to Midnight Bourbon and banked $3.6 million. So I'm not too worried about this. This is my single in the Rainbow Six Day. You're absolutely right about it. Neil, that Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Form does a great job with his clock report, and he's got nearly as A-. It's the best workhorse in the race. So you're absolutely right.
And for folks who don't know, an A- is very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah.
We joke, we call him B+ Mike here. You know what I mean? So for that, just pointing it out to the people. But hey, I had to find a single in my Rainbow Six so I could afford it. I'm going to go with Kennedy. He's just so impressive. Brad Cox, he knows what he's doing, as you know. I just think this horse is bred to handle the distance. I mean, Into Mischief, that's, this was $1.7 million, $1.75 million. Are you kidding me? I think he's going to run well.
Pocket change. But
you guys remember the old A-. You might be right.
Yeah, no. Again, we have Mike on every couple of weeks up in Saratoga. We talk about the workouts, and if a horse gets a B+ from him, I'm thinking, oh, this is one to watch. Yeah, that is rarefied air to get up into the A category. But again, it's
100%.
Yeah, it's a fun edition of the Holy Bull as we make the steps along the trail to the Gulfstream Park Derby and the Kentucky Derby and beyond. But a nice stakes day down there. You mentioned Mike Welch. Say hello to Mike and Brian and Samantha for me. And is Dave still in town? Did he stick around with Aqueduct?
Yeah, no, he's here. He's here. He's here.
All right. Say hello to Dave.
Yeah, I will. All right.
Ron, appreciate the visit. And again, we'll be tuned in this afternoon for pre-race and paddock commentary and whatnot. So again, have a great day.
Same to you. Bye.
Ron Nicoletti, Gulfstream Park. Again, looking forward to a really nice stakes day down there, highlighted by the Holy Bull and the Swale on the sprint side. And as I say, some of those coming out of that, an early season sprint, you can come out of that and still, kind of try to stretch out and see what you have. When you start getting to, later in the year, the Woody Stevens and those kind of races. Now you've kind of, after the Triple Crown, now you're committed to the sprint side of things, but these guys have the potential to stretch out. So a lot of eyes on Florida today, anticipating some 3-year-olds coming out worth watching going forward as we march on to Triple Crown. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, just some news and notes. We'll take a little look at the two, I'm not sure, 2 or 3, but there were some stakes at Tampa today. We'll take a look at those when we come back. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle. The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. I'm just pulling up here because I did pull up a list. I said it on yesterday's Derby Deep Dive show. And again, a reminder, that is our new Friday morning show, Fridays at 10 a.m., where we take a look at the 3-year-olds marching to the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown. A little preview, a little review. We'll look back at some of the big performances from the past week and anticipate what's coming up on the weekend on the 3-year-old side of things. And on yesterday's show, I showed the nice win last Sunday for Canaletto, who looked very good, very impressive, nice bloodlines there, being a sibling to Sandman, and got it done in the career debut. And I said, keep your eyes on some of the Derby polls, because off of that debut win, Canaletto will certainly jump into the mix. And sure enough, when I pulled up the Derby dozen, Blood Horses Derby dozen, Canaletto number 11 after the big win. So does make it into the mix after the nice debut performance last Sunday. And again, if you didn't get a chance to, if you haven't watched Derby Deep Dive on Fridays, you can always go to the YouTube channel, Capital OTV YouTube channel, and pull up the replay. Because again, yesterday we had that, you heard from Brad earlier with some of the horses coming up in the future and his other stakes runners today, but we talked 3-year-olds with Brad. And last weekend's Derby Future Pool, Brad had, I think, 7 or 8 3-year-olds amongst the, and when we talked to Jeremy Plonk a couple of weeks ago, I think he has 4 Brad Cox runners in his top 20. And we talked about those further ado, as I mentioned. We talked about those yesterday, some 3-year-olds with Brad. So again, worth maybe taking a look at. If you didn't get a chance to see it, go over to the YouTube channel. All right, again, there are a couple of stakes at Tampa this afternoon. We will be featuring Tampa here on the network along with Gulfstream and Fairgrounds, Santa Anita a little bit later on. But we have the Tampa Bay and the Endeavor. The Tampa Bay, they are on the grass. Grade 3 event, $175,000. I went 3, 6, 7, and 8. I put Quattro Cento on top, without a whole lot of confidence, I have to admit. And I think this one probably is going to attract some action. So you may get a short price. But I think it's going to class up okay with this bunch. It does come out of a series of 6th-place finishes. So as I say, I'm not jumping in with a whole lot of confidence. But I thought this one was okay. Morning line favorite is Win for the Bunny. And I may regret, taking a shot with one I don't have much confidence on over the 7-5 morning line favorite. But I didn't have a lot of confidence in that one either. This one has finishing position-wise, has been racing a little bit better than my top pick, but does come out of a beaten favorite 2nd-place finish over at Gulfstream and an optional claimer last time. Tried the Woodbine Mile 2 back. It's a Mark Casse trainee. And there's some class here as well. So again, we'll see how the odds shake out and whatnot. I will go tepidly Quattro Centro over Win for the Money. Tom's Magic is maybe a little bit interesting as well. On the numbers, seems a little light, but this will be the 4-year-old seasonal debut coming in from the fairgrounds for Michael Stidham. And that whole angle was interesting as well. They're working over at the fairgrounds. They said, let's take a little shot over at Tampa. So, again, for me, it's 3, 6, 7, and 8 in the Tampa Bay. And over at Tampa in the 9th, it's a grade 3 event, the Endeavor for Phillies and Mares 4-year-olds and up, going a mile and 16th on the grass. And again, $175,000, not a bad purse, but as we noted when we talked to Brad Cox, his Destino d'Oro, the Tropical Park Oaks winner, he elects to try, the race last week, the Pegasus Philly and Mare turf for $500,000. And it was like plan B, because he was thinking maybe we'll go to the Endeavor and then we'll stick on. And they pick up the better part of the $500,000 purse. So this group probably lucky that she elected to go there. But in the Endeavor, I have it 7, 5, 1, and 4. Bell of Rights on top, 10-1. This one's interesting to me. It's a Shug McGahee trainee, Sam Marin on board. So you get a very potent jock down there. This one coming out of an 8th place finish in the Swanee River and kind of just never in that one. I think this horse is better than that. And with that one under the belt after a late season layoff last year, got a little fitness builder from that one, I would think. Sam Marin on board attracted my attention. 10-1, I think we will get a price. Bell of Rights is interesting to me in the Endeavor. Aussie Girl, going out for Will Walden, was pulled up last time in the Swanee River at Gulfstream Park. So I'll draw a line through that. The races just before were good enough. Candy Quest, Sonny Leone, Mark Cassie, hasn't been seen since Keeneland in the QE2. Annually, a very good grade 1 event. That one was won by Lush Lips. Laura Lynn was second. So, the 5th place finish in there, no disgrace for Candy Quest. This is a much more to her liking group, I would think. Al Jafara for Chad Brown, just being a Chad Brown runner. Second start in the United States, certainly worth paying attention to. I think it's a fun group. I think it's a competitive group. I think you will be able to potentially find a little bit of value in here and play around in that 9th at Tampa, the Endeavor. For me, it's 7, 5, 1, and 4. And again, we'll look more at this afternoon live on OTB Live, living up to the name, OTB Live all afternoon. We'll look at some Gulfstream and some Tampa this afternoon. And again, we'll be back in. Tampa kicks off at 12:25, Gulfstream at 12:15. So probably about an hour or so. We'll be back to jump in and take a look at some of the Florida action on Saturday afternoon. Don't forget, speaking of Saturday afternoon and action, you can have a little more action down here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Besides, playing and hopefully cashing some tickets, maybe you get a little extra something with the Play the Board contest. So pop on down and join us at the Clubhouse Racebook this afternoon. Grab a little lunch over at Black Bear. You can watch various sports from around the country on our sports screens as usual, but also the Play the Board contest for a little extra fun. That's this afternoon right here, Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, Seth Merrow wrapping it up, Racing Across America on a Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow with Racing Across America, 10 a.m. as usual on a Sunday, but we'll also be back in about an hour or so on Saturday afternoon for OTB Live. See you then. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March.
Watching